Unit 4 and 5 test review. You need to work these problems out on your own paper. This is going to be the video that goes along with the explanations and the answers. So the first question, what is the measure of angle YXW? First, let me identify where YXW is. It's this angle right there. Excuse me. There is an exterior angle theorem that tells me if I add those two inside angles, 62 plus 73, that will equal that outside angle. So 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 135 degrees. Next problem, number 2. In triangle XYZ, the angles have the following measures: 40, 60, and 80. And now I need to list them in order, the sides in order, from shortest to longest. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is sketch a little picture here because I don't have one, and I'm more of a visual learner. I'm actually going to make this bigger. All right, so X, Y, Z. Angle X is 40 degrees, Y is 60, Z is 80. Okay, so first of all, my sketch is not drawn to scale, but that's okay, I've got it labeled correctly. So the shortest side is across from the shortest or the smallest angle. So YZ, 60 is next, so that would be XZ, and the longest side would be across from 80, the biggest angle, XY. So this is when the longest side is across from the biggest angle. The shortest side is across from the smallest angle. And then we've just got the one in the middle. Number 3 says 2 sides of a triangle are 7 and 4 centimeters. What is the range of the third side of the triangle? Well, if I add 7 and 4, I get 11. And if I subtract them, I get 4. So the range is anywhere between 4 and 11. That means X could be 5, it could be 6, it could be 7, it could be 8, 9, 10. X could also be numbers like 9.3, 7.5, 6.2. So as long as one of those numbers, or as long as a number is between bigger than 4, but less than 11, it would fit. X could not be 11.2, 11.4, 3, 2, 1.5, because these numbers over here are either less than 4 or greater than 11, and that's not what X can be. Number 5, a guy wire for a pole for a tennis net. Okay, a guy wire is this right here in pink. That's like the tension wire that helps the pole stand up straight. Now, I want the measure of the angle between the wire and the pole. So that's this angle right here. I want to remember that that square means a right angle, and a right angle is 90 degrees. The other angle that I'm given is 62. So basically, if I just subtract 90 and 62 from 180, I'm going to get 28. Why did I say 180 subtract those two numbers? Because the total degrees in a triangle is 180. So 180 subtract 90 subtract 62, and I'm pretty sure it was 28. Let me double check. Yep, it was 28. That is what I got left over. So that angle is 28 degrees. Number 5, in the triangle below, list the sides in order from least to greatest. All right, do I know what C is? No, not really. I can figure it out. 180 minus 66 minus 52. So let's go back over to the calculator. I'm going to subtract 66, and I think it was 52. Yep, 52. 62. So let me double check that. 66, 62. All right, so C, I now have a value for C. It's 62 degrees. So the smallest angle is 52. It is across from BC. That means BC is the least. Next is 62 at angle C. 62 is across from AB. So that would be my medium side. My longest side is AC. I know that it's the longest side because it is across from the biggest angle. So I've listed them in order from least to greatest. 6. Using the given information, write a congruency statement. All right, AD and BC intersect at X. AX is equal to XB. So that means these two are congruent. CX is congruent or equal to XD. So what's going on here? These angles are congruent because those are vertical angles. So if I were to use a theorem, I would use side angle side because I have a side BX, and then I have an angle, and then I have another side. So a congruency statement here, A to X to C. AXC. Congruent to triangle B, X to D. Number 7, what is the measure of angle H? All right, if these two triangles are congruent, and that's what this congruency statement tells me, P is equal to G, Q is equal to H, R is equal to K. So if P is 97, that means G is 97. Q I don't have a value for, and I don't have a value for H, but R and K are both 48. And so I'm looking for this measure right here. So I'm going to do the same thing that I've already done twice. 180, subtract 48, subtract 97. (48) and 97. And my answer is 35. So angle H is 35 degrees. Okay, problem number 8. If triangle ACB is congruent to triangle CAD, what is the value of X and Y? So I've got to set some things equal to each other. I've got AD and I've got BC. And according to my congruency statement, AD and BC, so CB is kind of the same thing as AD. It's both the same side. So I can set those two sides equal to each other. And I can solve for x. So 4x minus 7 equals 3x plus 1. X is 8. Okay, if x is 8, that means I can now substitute, I'm going to have to substitute it in there. That x is by itself, so when I replace it, I'm going to be left with 8 plus y. All right, so the next thing I need to find is the value of y. Oh, let's erase those two things. Okay, I've got AB and DC. AB and DC. Those are in the same spot, so again, those are congruent. So now I can say 8 plus y equals 20. Y is going to equal 12. Problem number 9. If triangle ABC is congruent to triangle EDF, what is the perimeter? Ooh, there's a word we haven't used for a while. Perimeter of triangle EDF. All right, let's do a quick flashback. Perimeter. Add all the sides. Certainly you guys remember that from elementary school. So if these are congruent, I need to get all of the sides labeled for EDF. EDF is this triangle here. All right, AC is 3. AC corresponds with EF, so EF would be 3. BC goes with DF, so DF would be 12. Now do I have all three sides of triangle EDF? Why, yes, I do. So I'm going to add 10, 12, and 3 together. So perimeter is 20. That's a bad 5. Perimeter is 25. 10. Finish the proof. All right, so you guys, this looks like one of those matching problems that you had to do on that Google worksheet, that Google slide. So I've got some given information, and then I want to prove something. So, thought I had a highlighter. BC congruent to BC. Is that somewhere? How do I know that? That's the same thing, and this is one of those properties. This is the reflexive property. All right, angle ABC is a right angle and angle DCB is a right angle. I know that because I was given some information about lines being perpendicular to each other. Up here, this tells me that lines are perpendicular, that segments are perpendicular. And so when I have perpendicular, I've got a right angle. Now, I'm looking at angle ABC. ABC, which is this whole thing here. I don't know if that's the right letter I want to use, and DCB. How do I know that those two are congruent? Well, if I look here, I was just told in step 3 that both of those angles are right angles. So, right angles are congruent to each other. Or you could say by definition of a right angle. But if you have two right angles, they're both going to be congruent to each other. It's almost like the reflexive property. And now I want to be able to say that these two triangles are congruent, and I want to use one of my shortcuts. So which shortcut? Which shortcut? Well, let's see. In my picture, what do I have? I have AB and DC being congruent. That was given. And then I have BC being congruent to BC, so I could mark that there. So if I were to separate these triangles into two sketches, I would have this marked. And now this would be a side, an angle, and a side. So my reason is side, angle, side. 11, what are the reasons for the following proof? All right, so I'm given 3 statements. I can prove that these two triangles are congruent in 3 statements. So AB congruent to DC and BC congruent to AD. That was given. Why can I say AC is congruent to AC? Reflexive property. And then which shortcut? Well, I've got AB marked and DC marked. And I've got this AD and BC. But I haven't done anything to this side AC yet. And again, if I separate these into 2 sketches, I would have this. And the only thing that I have marked on this triangle are the sides. So side, side, side. Two sides of a triangle are 7. Wait a minute, I've done this problem already. Didn't mean to put that on there twice, but again, 7 plus 4, and then 7 minus 4 is 3. Wait a minute, did I do that other problem wrong? Look at what I did here. I wrote down the answer instead of the Yep. So yeah, it should be between 3 and 11. I feel like I covered that enough in the first statement. Somebody should have stopped me and told me I wasn't making any sense because I wrote down the wrong number. And we've done this problem before too. Yeah, I've done this problem before too. But let's do it one more time. First, find out what C is. 180, subtract 52, subtract 66. C is 62. The smallest side is BC. Next, AB. And the longest side would be AC.